In this podcast episode, Dr. Lisa Miller, a renowned psychologist and researcher at the intersection of neuroscience and spirituality, explores the profound connection between the human brain and spiritual experience. The conversation delves deeply into scientific evidence on the spiritual circuits within the brain, the role of spirituality in mental health and human development, and practical ways individuals and parents can cultivate spiritual awareness to lead healthier and more meaningful lives. Dr. Miller shares findings from a decade of MRI studies, revealing that every human brain is wired with three specific neural circuits that allow for perceiving a relationship with a higher power or creator. The first is the bonding network, which enables a sense of being loved and held, reminiscent of childhood attachment. The second involves a shift from a narrow, task-focused attention system to a broad, open, receptive attention network, facilitating guidance and expanded awareness. The third is the parietal circuit, which establishes boundaries of self and others, helping individuals feel both unique and interconnected as part of a greater oneness. Together, these circuits form the foundation of the spiritual brain, making love, guidance, and never feeling alone neurobiological realities. Although the awakened brain is partly innate, Dr. Miller emphasizes that two-thirds of spiritual awareness is cultivated through intentional practice, meditation, prayer, reflective reading, or connecting with nature. These practices strengthen the brain's natural capacity to receive transcendent presence. People who feel disconnected from spirituality can rebuild this connection by exercising their spiritual muscle, just as one might develop physical fitness. Activation of the awakened brain reverses atrophy caused by societal disconnection and enables people to perceive love, guidance, and presence in their lives. The episode highlights that today's widespread mental health struggles, depression, addiction, anxiety, and suicide stem largely from an atrophy of the awakened brain, or a perception of isolation and separateness. This ailment of perception is the leading illness of our time. Shifting from a fragmented, isolated sense of self toward an awakened perception of unity and support offers a scientifically founded path to healing. Spiritual practices open the brain to feelings of belonging and deep interconnectedness, which bolster mental resilience. Adolescence is described as a critical window when the brain's spiritual sensitivity surges, compelling teens to seek meaning and purpose beyond material achievement. This developmental awakening, while profound, can be confusing and painful, often triggering existential struggles. Dr. Miller stresses the importance of youth having spiritual people or communities who share authentic spiritual practices. She notes that spirituality is the most effective form of protection during adolescence against depression, substance abuse, and suicide, with robust spiritual life reducing these risks significantly. Dr. Miller advocates for parents to nurture the spiritual core in their children as one of their primary responsibilities. Parenting approaches focused only on achievement and external success can foster contingent love, where children feel valued only for accomplishments, leading to increased mental health risks. Conversely, embracing spirituality in daily interactions through authentic conversations, prayer, and modeling spiritual curiosity supports children's character development, resilience, and well-being. Even parents uncertain about their beliefs can foster spiritual awareness by honoring children's spiritual experiences and questions without dismissal. The podcast also addresses the impact of spiritual injury, which occurs when trusted adults fail to embody spiritual ideals, creating distrust and existential emptiness in children. Dr. Miller explains that such injury can be healed through exposure to authentic torchbearers who walk the spiritual path sincerely, as well as through practices that bring divine presence into painful memories. Importantly, children can develop their own direct connection to the Creator, regardless of adverse experiences, illustrating the resilience of the spiritual brain. Among all spiritual and religious practices studied, altruism emerges as the strongest predictor of a well-developed awakened brain. Acts of loving kindness and service engage the same neural pathways involved in perceiving God's presence, reinforcing spiritual connection and mental health. Dr. Miller exemplifies this through stories like Mother Teresa's, whose lifelong service sustained her spiritual connection even during periods of personal spiritual darkness. Dr. Miller makes a clear distinction between spirituality and religion in her research. Spirituality is an innate capacity present in all humans, one-third hardwired and two-thirds cultivated, whereas religion is an environmentally transmitted set of beliefs, practices, and community structures. For many people, spirituality and religion intertwine, with religious traditions providing frameworks that nurture natural spiritual awareness. Understanding this helps avoid conflating spirituality solely with organized religion in therapeutic and developmental contexts. The discussion contrasts achieving relationships, which revolve around competition, status, or gains, with awakening relationships built on connection, curiosity, and mutual spiritual presence. Dr. Miller encourages adopting awakened relationships as a way of being, asking meaningful questions, and genuinely engaging with others to foster community and belonging. This shift counters transactional cultural norms and supports a deeper experience of love and fraternity. Large-scale research correlating high spirituality in children with positive character traits, such as grit, optimism, forgiveness, and temperance, is presented as evidence that spirituality forms the roots from which character blossoms. Spiritual core nurtures resilience and ethical living, underscoring the argument that raising spiritually aware children is the most potent form of parenting for lifelong thriving and mental health. Dr. Miller introduces a powerful spiritual exercise known as the council table, which involves inviting supportive figures, living, deceased, one's higher self, and higher power, to a symbolic meeting space in the mind. This practice activates the bonding, attention, and parietal networks, allowing individuals to feel loved, guided, and never alone. Research shows that similar brain regions activate during prayer or meditation across different spiritual traditions, confirming the universal neurobiology of spiritual experience. Amid contemporary distractions from technology and social media, Dr. Miller points to the increased necessity of cultivating spirituality for well-being. She highlights how healing the spiritual antenna by clearing away mental clutter allows for perceiving divine guidance and support. Raising this antenna is accessible to everyone, regardless of past disconnection or disbelief, making spiritual awakening a universal opportunity in any life stage. Throughout the conversation, Dr. Miller and the host share personal stories illustrating the unfolding dialogue with a higher power, the unfolding of life purpose, relationship synchronicities, surrender, and trust. Spirituality is framed not as guaranteed outcomes, but as an ongoing, inspired journey of receiving guidance and embracing the unknown with faith. This approach transforms life into a meaningful adventure rooted in love, presence, and service. Finally, Dr. Miller underscores that the scientific method consistently supports the profound benefits of spirituality for physical, mental, and social health. From reducing adolescent suicide rates to promoting character and resilience across the lifespan, spirituality is a vast, untapped resource for human thriving. She calls for parenting and cultural approaches that nurture rather than suppress this innate gift, emphasizing that teaching children to love God or a higher power represents the most effective protective factor science has identified.